So hello folks, I'm going to do a review here today on Bill 100, which is in Ontario and the Ontario legislature. So it's an act to enact legislation to protect access to certain transportation infrastructure. And it's a bit of a longer bill, so I'm just going to try to skim through this and, get right to the point. So, one very important point at the beginning here. No person shall impede access to or egress from or the ordinary use of protected transportation infrastructure, or directly or indirectly cause such access, egress, or ordinary use to be impeded. If the impediment has or it is reasonably expected to have the effect of disrupting ordinary economic activity or interfering with the safety, health, or well-being of members of the public. Subsection 1 applies whether the person is acting individually or in cooperation with others, and through the use of a vehicle or by any other means. Subsection 1 does not apply if the effect of the impediment is or is reasonably expected to be trivial, transient, or minor in nature, or can easily be avoided by persons attempting to access, use, or depart from the protected transportation infrastructure. So basically, it sounds here like, they just don't want people blocking off for economic activity and whatever. But when you really look at it in retrospect, they're basically telling people that they can't protest, essentially, like if anything's in the way. And, usually when protests get larger or large enough, there's always going to be vehicles in the way or even people blocking the road as well. So here's another interesting point. No person shall provide assistance to another person to knowingly aid that person to do anything prohibited by subsection 1, including by providing supplies, fuel, or other materials. So basically, they're saying that it's illegal to provide, everyday fixed expenses to people. And it's like, that's a little out there as well, because there's nothing wrong with getting fuel and giving it to another person, really, at the end of the day. Yeah, very bizarre. Or any other materials. There's really nothing wrong with that. So, direction to seize, remove objects. A police officer who has reasonable grounds to believe that a person is contravening subsection 2(1) or 4 may direct that the person to seize contravening the subsection or remove or cause to be removed any object that, as a result of any act or omission of the person, is being used in the contravention. A police officer who has reasonable grounds to believe that 2 or more persons are together contravening subsection 2(1) or 4 may direct them to disperse. So basically it's saying here that even if it's a small crowd of people that's starting a protest, they could just tell you to get lost or whatever. Let's see what else we got here. I'm just going to skim through this. It says that, there's a lot of stuff in here saying about your license will be suspended for 14 days, blah, blah, blah. That's only a couple weeks. It's not the end of the world. So, that doesn't really stop people from doing it again if that's, the first offense here. Just taking a look here, folks. Yeah, just all this stuff about the driver's license, as I said here. Okay, this is interesting. No transfer, etc. If an order under subsection 1 is issued to an operator, no person with knowledge of the order shall, without the registrar's consent, transfer or lease any commercial motor vehicle or trailer for which the operator's name is on the vehicle or plate portion of the vehicle permit, or to do anything else that would result in a change of name on the vehicle or plate portion of the permit. So, yeah, that's very interesting as well with the whole license thing there and the trailer and motor vehicles again. Let's see what else we got here. A director or officer of a corporation who causes, authorizes, permits, or participates in an offense under this act by the corporation is guilty of an offense. So basically, that's saying whoever organizes these events or whatever and gathers people to come together, they're going to be guilty and, they're going to be coming after you as well. Which we've already seen that with the trucker convoy protest. They went after the organizers and everything. And yeah. Okay, Okay, this is interesting. This is talking about prison time here. In the case of an offense under subsection 10(1) or 2, to a fine of not more than $100,000, imprisonment for a term of not more than 1 year or both. Or in the case of an offense under subsection 10(3), to a fine of not more than $500,000, imprisonment for a term of not more than 1 year or both. So yeah, this goes to the subsections, and the subsections for that are 10(1), a person who contravenes subsection 2, 1, or 4, fails to comply with subsection 3, blah, 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 is guilty of an offense. A person who interferes with or obstructs any person in the exercise of power, performance of a duty, or function under the act is guilty. So basically, if you have like any participation in this at all, you can very well face jail time here. Like this is getting very dicey, this stuff, as we move on here. And then they're saying that a police officer can arrest you without a warrant. So basically, they're just giving the police in the state all power here. Like, this is pretty nuts at the end of the day. This is definitely something to be concerned about, this bill. And then it says municipality be liable, blah, blah, blah. This is interesting. Review of the act. The minister responsible for the administration of this act shall, no later than 18 months after the day this act comes into force, will A, conduct a review of the first 12 months of the application of this act, and B, prepare a written report respecting the review, and I, table the report in the assembly, and I, make the report available to the public on a Government of Ontario website. So this review act is very crucial as well, because basically, they might add more and more and more onto it until basically, you have no right to protest at all. So this is what I mean. This is basically the beginning of taking away protesting and people's right to protest here in the province. And this is how it starts. They start with something like this, and they make it in the good name of something like, oh, we're here to protect infrastructure and people's well-being. And then over time, they just keep adding more and more onto it. So, that's pretty much the thick of it there, folks. Overall, this is a big violation of people's charter rights, Section 6 mobility rights, your Section 15 equality rights to some degree being, equal before the law and such. And that's only to name a couple of them. And maybe even right to life, liberty, and security of the person, Section 7. It's a huge violation of your charter rights overall, and especially Section 6 mobility rights, because, it's taking away your right to move around and your right to gather and all that, and freedom of assembly as well. So, this is a very concerning bill here, Bill 100. And, hopefully more MPs will come around, or MPPs, sorry, because it's at the provincial level, will come around and try to shoot down this bill, or eventually it gets scrapped if better government comes into power. Have a good day.